I studied over 1,000 sports bettors. I'm talking about real people with real bets, and the mistakes I discovered were horrifying. Doesn't matter if they were betting $10 or $1,000, almost all of them were making the same mistakes. Now, I've spent years helping bettors win money by building a system that actually works. So if you're tired of being the book's favorite customer, this video is for you. And if you stick to the end, you'll see 8 mistakes people make and exactly how to avoid each one. But first, we've got to talk about the biggest mistake I saw from studying 1,000 bettors. Most of them don't actually want to get better. They just want someone to tell them what to bet. Sometimes that someone is a dude named LockDaddy69 dropping max unit nukes in a Discord full of anime profile pictures. I wish I was joking. Years ago, I joined one of those Discords, $97 a month. Supposedly exclusive insights. First thing I see, LockDaddy69, shirtless, wearing sunglasses indoors. Monster Energy can in the frame, saying, Korean baseball over 3.5, lock of the day. I copied his picks for a week. Final record, 3-11. At one point, we had money on Polish women's volleyball unders on a Wednesday. I asked him why. He said, the line looked sus, bro. We lost that one too. So here's the truth. If someone's selling you picks, they're not making money betting. They're making money off you because you still don't want to think for yourself. But if you want to actually make money from this, you need a repeatable process that's built on math instead of luck. So I put together the entire blueprint that walks you through the exact strategy I used to make my first $1,000 with sports betting. There's nothing about picks or any of that crap. Just click the link in the description if you want to check it out. Now let's talk about mistake number 2, betting with your heart instead of your head. Here's what that looks like in the real world. Let's say there's a soccer game between Newcastle and Manchester United. Most fans would say, easy win, Newcastle's got this, Man United is garbage. And honestly, they're not wrong. Manchester United has been rough. But here's what fan bettors miss. When everyone thinks Newcastle wins, the price inflates and the value disappears. Let's break it down. Say Newcastle is priced at minus 200, which means you have to risk $200 to win $100. That means a win rate of about 66.7%. Now let's say the true fair odds should have been minus 150. That would mean a 60% win rate. Now you're overpaying for something just because it feels safe. So you bet $200 10 times at minus 200 odds. You win 6, great, that's $600. But you lose 4, and that's an $800 loss. You're down $200 overall. And that's what happens when you bet, like a fan. You're not looking for value, you're just hoping your team should win. In sports betting, it's not about picking the winners. It's about finding underpriced edges. And if you skip that part, the books already beat you. But let's talk about mistake 3, because this one's huge. Most bettors treat losses like a challenge, like the only way to make things right is to win it back tonight. That's how you get them, right? I've been there. One night I dropped a couple bets early and thought, no big deal, I'll just bounce back real quick. Then I remembered some guy online hyping the martingale strategy. You can't lose if you just keep doubling. So I doubled, and then doubled again. Next thing I know, I'm 5 bets deep into Brazilian 2nd Division football at 2 a.m., begging the gambling gods for one more corner kick. But spoiler alert, I didn't hit. So here's how I stopped that cycle. I set a hard daily loss cap of 3 units, no matter what happens. If I hit that number, I shut it down. No Hail Marys. No, just one more bro. Because you have to understand this. The number 1 threat to your bankroll isn't the sportsbook. It's you. Long-term profit doesn't just come from finding winners, it comes from protecting your bankroll even from your own worst impulses. But let me ask you something. If you place 10 bets a day, would that make you a better bettor or just a busier loser? Because mistake number 4 is a silent bankroll killer. Thinking more bets equals more profit. On paper, it feels like you're increasing your chances. More action, more shots at hitting, right? But without real edge, you're just multiplying risk. Let's say you bet 10 games a day. Maybe you've got a slight edge. Maybe it's just vibes. You win 6, lose 4. Sounds decent, right? Well, at minus 110 odds, 6 wins gives you $600, but the 4 losses cost you $440. You made $160, but what if variance flips? You go 4 and 6, and now you're down $260. That's the trap. Volume without edge magnifies both variance and juice. Pros don't bet every game. They stalk the board, they wait, and they only pull the trigger when there's real value. So here's the question you've got to ask before every bet. Am I betting this because I have edge or just because it's 7:30 p.m. and I'm bored? Because if it's the second one, you're not a bettor, you're just another customer. And this is where a proven system and real accountability makes all the difference. Because when you're doing this alone, it's easy to slip chase losses, force plays, or fall back into bad habits, which is exactly why I built a private community. A place where serious bettors help each other stay sharp and disciplined. Because if we're going to beat the sportsbooks and these massive corporations, we've got to work together and take our money back. But I can't let everyone in, otherwise the community will get watered down. It's not some paywall Discord. It's free to join actually. If you use my link to sign up for Odds Jam, it's just a tool you'd be using anyway, and access to a group of bettors who actually give a damn about doing this right. If that sounds like your crowd, hit the link in the description and I'll show you how to get in. But this next mistake is one that nearly every losing bettor encounters at some point. Here's what I mean. So I was at a UFC watch party for the Usman versus Leon Edwards fight. But one of my boys was glazing Usman like he was his boyfriend. No way he loses, he's untouchable. Lock of the year. He slammed $1,000 on Usman at -400. His entire rent money, full send. And for 24 minutes it looked like he was a genius. Usman was winning the fight comfortably. But then, from out of nowhere, Leon Edwards whips out a head kick and knocks out Usman with less than 40 seconds remaining. My friend didn't speak for the rest of the night. Now yeah, this was a terrible bet as it was negative EV and full of emotion. But even if it was a positive EV bet, going all in still doesn't work. Because one unlucky loss and you're wiped out. But moving on to mistake 6. And it might be the most important one yet. It seems harmless at first, but if your bankroll keeps mysteriously shrinking, this is probably the reason why. Yeah, I'm talking about parlays. Now, here's the twist most people don't know. If you stack positive EV bets together, the expected value actually compounds. A single plus EV play might carry a 5% edge, but put the right ones together, and that edge can jump to 15 to 20%. One of my coaching clients swore by this approach. He thought it was the ultimate way to maximize edge. And on paper, it made sense. But emotionally, it was chaos. Here's why. Say you're risking 2% of your bankroll on each parlay. A standard 12-game losing streak means you're down 24%. But throw in some bad variance and you could be staring at a 40 to 50% drawdown fast. So here's the way I handle it now. I stick to flat bets. Simple, stable, scalable. And if I do throw in a parlay, I cap it around plus 300 and only when the legs are correlated. Like betting on a team to cover the spread and the game to go over. If that team dominates, both bets are more likely to hit. But mistake 7 is where everything falls apart for most bettors, because truthfully, they're just making it up as they go. There's no plan, no structure, just vibes. You know the type. He's scrolling Twitter, spots a meme hyping Steph Curry, hears his Uber driver say, "Man, I've got a good feeling about the over." And next thing you know, he's tossing half his bankroll on a same-game parlay. All because it feels like the night. Yeah, one of those nights where your sportsbook rep eats filet mignon while you're crushing a cup of microwave ramen? And that's the core issue. No system means no consistency. You're not betting, you're guessing. So what do pros do differently in this case? They log every bet. The odds, the line, the market movement, the result, all of it. They analyze their results weekly. And they only place bets when there's measurable value, not when they're feeling lucky. You don't need a math degree, but you do need a repeatable process. Even a simple Google sheet with rules you actually follow puts you ahead of most people donating to the books. But moving on to mistake 8, and this is the difference between casual betting and serious profit. This is what separates someone who feels like they're winning from someone who actually is. Here's the deal. Sportsbooks don't move lines just for fun. They adjust them based on big money from respected bettors. So if you're constantly betting numbers that end up worse than the closing line, you're already beat. Let's say you grab Team A at -120, but by kickoff, the line drops to -110. That tells you the market didn't agree with your side, and those small gaps, they add up fast. Now flip it. You bet -110 and it closes at -130, you're not going to win every game. But if you consistently beat the close, you're giving yourself a long-term shot. So start tracking it. Note the odds when you bet, then check again before the game starts. If your number's always worse than the close, you don't have an edge, you have a feeling, and feelings don't pay. Data does. So earlier we talked about one of the biggest mistakes people make with their bankroll, which is treating it like monopoly money basically. But if you want an in-depth breakdown of how to actually win, then watch this video to learn how I actually became a top 1% sports bettor. I'll put it up on the screen for you to watch next.